and welcome to our weekly live stream. We are DocumentWrite, and our special guest today is Justin. So, we are going to talk about Cody. Cody is an AI assistant for those who are for coders. So, it's similar, if you heard of this, it's similar to GitHub Pilot. So before we begin, we're going to do introductions. I'll introduce DocumentWrite first. DocumentWrite, it's a technical writing agency. We specialize in creating content for dev-focused companies. So we write getting started guides, documentation, and we also do audits. And my name is Portia. I am the founder of DocumentWrite. And more introductions, I'm sorry.
My name is Charles. I am a technical writer at DocumentWrite. Um, my background is in technical writing and software development, JavaScript on the front end, and I'm happy to be here talking about AI.
And my gosh, and we have our special guest.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi, I'm Justin. I am a program manager, open source program manager, and community manager at Sourcegraph. And I love maintainers. I love helping them out 24/7, 365. And I really look forward to this conversation. I miss talking with Portia. And it's nice to meet Charles as well.
Charles, you are not an afternote. So let's get into it. Actually, this is my question because Justin, I think I've known you for almost 2 years.
Sounds about right.
And you work at Sourcegraph, and I'm not sure. Can you tell us and the audience what the heck does Sourcegraph do?
Yeah, sure.
What is
So
Sourcegraph?
yeah, we're an AI platform, and we're used by banks, Uber, Reddit, and many other household names that you probably know. And we make devs more productive. We have two products. One is Code Search, and one is Cody, which is, as you said, an AI coded assistant.
Awesome. Can you tell us more about the Code Search?
Yeah. So it was created because, there's a lot of people that work at big companies like Google, Facebook, and they have these unbelievable developer tool sets that when they go to another company, they're not there anymore. So their productivity goes way down. So our co-founders, Quinn and Byong, they basically saw that thing that was missing, where people would go from Google to another company and code search wouldn't be there. So we, over this past 10 years, spent you know many hours and years putting into making sure that code search is as robust as any other solution out there.
That's excellent. I've definitely had that problem where I've had that problem for going from machine to machine as well. Like when I update
Right.
to a new Mac, it's like, oh, I need to spend like 2 or 3 hours just getting my environment up and running.
Yeah, exactly. And so our customers, they either have it on-prem, air gapped, or they can use our cloud solution. We also have a free app that you can download. So really, it's when it's used in like a bank or bigger customers, they have it like very. Our support team takes care of that because it's just a very large job to maintain and stuff.
Oh, that's amazing. So that leads us to our next question, which is what is Cody? Tell us more about Cody.
Yeah, so Cody's our AI code assistant. It helps answering technical questions, fixing and generating code like unit test. Who likes writing unit test? I was talking to someone at PyCon, and I was like telling him like, oh, who the heck likes writing unit tests? He's like, well, I do. I mean, it's my job. I was like, oh, well, I mean, besides, but he was cracking up. He thought it was funny, but yeah. So all those like little things that you really don't like to do, our goal is to make the value add that we give to our customers is making their developers more productive. So this is just another tool in the chain that allows them to be more productive.
So I had a chance to look at some of the things that Cody does, and I don't think people really realize. I'm a very biased person in many things,
Mhm.
but especially when it comes to AI. And I looked at the recipes,
Mhm.
explaining code, writing unit tests, fixing code, release notes. When I was a developer, like these chores just suck the joy out of
Right.
creating.
Exactly. And that's what is the most exciting thing, at least for me, is because all of those time suck uh, issue or tasks that you have to do to finish the job, you can start focusing on the bigger picture stuff and not be like bogged down with generating release notes. And some might say, well, wait a minute, release notes, I generate those, and that's I get paid to do it. And
Right.
I just want to be very clear that, LLMs, large language models, they're not perfect. They are not the silver bullet. They will help you get halfway there
Right.
with generating, like for instance, like generating you can generate release notes and just put them up there, but they're very, they're not as, they don't have that human touch, which I think is really important, especially, when you're looking at docs and the first thing in the release notes, which are the first things that you're going to look at when a new release is out. So it still needs that human to touch it up and make sure that there's no hallucinations or anything like that. So yeah, I want to be very clear. Like these are really great tools that still need humans to make them work.
And it solves the blank editor problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. No, I totally agree. I mean, there's sometimes where, I mean, not just with code, but just like, I have to write a blog post for our blog, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do, so I'll just put like in a few bullet points, and it's good. It makes the blank page go away, but now I have some juice, now I have some, okay, cool. This is kind of where I want it to go. So then I can kind of take it from there. And the same thing with code and just writing documentation. It's there to start a fire and get you going.
Precisely. And it frees you up to do higher level work, and in this case, branding. Like you're able to look at those release notes and you're able to turn them into something special, something that reflects the culture and the values of your company.
Exactly. Right. Like, I think that's the most important thing is, especially, I was talking to someone the other day that she does CFP. She reads the CFPs, the proposals that come in for talks,
Yes.
and she noticed, along with a lot of her colleagues, that there has been a surge in submissions, and you could put two and two together, be like, okay, people are just going to ChatGPT and saying, write me a proposal for this. And they know, they're just like, people don't talk like this, or like they're just like, we've read CFPs for the past 10 years, and people are just not, this is not how a CFP sounds like. So there still needs to be that human element to it, and uh I'm really happy that that's still there, and it's just a tool, another tool.
I feel like you say this a lot to folks, reassure them like this is just a tool.
Well, I used to be the same way, I was like, well, this is probably going to affect me, and I one of my coworkers, Steve Yagi, wrote this blog post, and it just kind of like changed my mind on a lot of things. And thousands of other people have said that on Twitter and
And we
Hacker
could
News
put
and
it
stuff.
in the notes too.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
blog.
yeah. It's basically saying, cheating is okay. I'm botching up the user, but basically what it comes down to is like the same way the IDE when it first came out. People are just like, wow, this is making me a lot more productive, but I feel like it's cheating in a way. As
Really?
what?
I guess so. Are you talking about like Visual Studio Code?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like compare that to like working not in a terminal emulator, but like a
To
terminal.
Vim?
Yeah, exactly. So, going to IDEs and then also Stack Overflow. It's like, when Stack Overflow came out and everyone who was
Yeah.
using man pages were like, well, wait a minute. If you don't know how to read man pages and get your
I
answers there,
know.
then what do you do? So it's like this new thing where it's like, hey, it's a new way to be productive, and they're tools at the end of the day. They still need humans to know what they're doing to make them work.
So it's kind of like the 2023 version of like IntelliSense and autocomplete.
Yeah. I would say I've heard that comparison a lot. Not that specific one, but IntelliSense for sure.
Yeah.
That's a really good comparison.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this
So
out
what?
there. Oh, Charles, can I go on a small rant? And then I will be quiet. Small rant. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you. Like, I used to go to these meetups, and I was that coder that was 95% there in getting my app up and running, but the
Mhm.
5% was boring, it was tedious, no one really wanted to help, but that's fine. I had syntax issues, like, I can't tell you, like, Charles and I were talking about this on Sunday. Using these tools is almost like someone putting glasses on me and I can finally see things clearly. Like, it's really been such an unlock for me. All right, I'll
I
stop.
love that. That's a great metaphor or
I'm
analogy. I don't know.
finished.
I always screw this up. Go
I'm
ahead,
finished.
Charles.
Charles.
Yeah, so I'm wondering what's different between Cody and other similar tools like GitHub Copilot or I don't know, what are some of the other tools that are out there that are trying to do the same thing, and what makes yours different?
Yeah, sure. So like we get compared to Copilot a lot, and that's fine. I mean, Copilot, we're gonna badmouth it. It changed the game. It came in and showed a whole new way of doing things. So I'll just say us compared to Copilot, Cody compared to Copilot is one of the things is we have multiple model support, meaning whether you want to go with say Anthropic or GPT 3.5 or 4, you have that opportunity. It's kind of like a bring your own LLM to the things. We will be supporting more LLMs down the line, but right now that out of the box, that's what we support. We also automatically update embeddings, so there's full code base context rather than just local. Um, just your local code rather than the full code base. We also open sourced it under Apache 2 license. We have a web client where you can try it on sourcegraph.com. You don't need to install the VS Code plugin. And we also have recipes, which Portia brought up earlier, which are these pre-configured prompts like generate release notes or generate a doc string. All these things that are just there to make things faster and more efficient.
Okay, can you talk a bit more about, you said it's looking at your code locally?
Yeah, it does locally as well as the full code base context. So we can create embeddings that create more context for creating better responses.
Right. Okay. Okay.
That was something
So
I always
basically,
worried about.
study looking at it's looking at the whole code base, and whatever it helps you, it's taking that into account, like your entire project.
Exactly. You don't have to have all these different like tabs open for it to understand what you're talking about. It just knows it has the whole code base inside of a vector database, and you can pull from there.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Push it. You were saying?
Yeah, that's something I was always wondering about when it comes to ChatGPT. I was worried about putting like proprietary information in and having having Microsoft train it. But the other thing I was worried about is the whole context issue. Like you can
Mhm.
put like a function in there. You can probably put like hell, even a class. But I was wondering, well, if you're using these AI or LLMs, do they have context of your actual code base?
Context is king. You know, content is king, but context is definitely king. And if you don't have that context there, it's sort of like, what are we doing here? Um, if you're in your prompts, if you have to say, in this repository called Docusaurus, please tell me about, where do I find this, and this? It should just be like, hey, where can I find this? It's that type of context is just going to make our lives a lot easier rather than typing something out and then going, oh, I have to rewrite it to say, as a software developer, I want Docusaurus to.
Oh, I know that. Yeah. As a
Yeah,
DevOps
right.
developer, that's some
Yeah, it's like
unnamed
you're writing a user
state.
story for a prompt.
That's so true. That's so true. Do you mind walking us through what exactly does it mean to bring your own LLM?
Yeah, so in our settings, we have the option you can put in your own Anthropic API key. Um, so if you have a special arrangement with Anthropic, you could basically use their API key, and it would just bypass our Anthropic service. And we have just to make sure I'm clear, our LLMs, our providers, they have zero retention and zero training. So basically, after everything's done, it goes to dev null. And if you ask the same question again, it's not like cached. It just basically does the same thing again uh, from scratch. So yeah, just want to make that very clear because it's a huge concern, and rightfully so,
Yes.
with especially our banks, bank clients, and other clients that are very, very, very security focused. And everyone should be very, very careful and make sure that all the I's and T's are crossed. So yeah, we
Yeah.
want to. I think at the end of the day, we don't want to be in the LLM business. We just want to be in the developer productivity business. And if that means that you have a model that you have trained specifically for your code base, then you should be able to use that. We shouldn't be dictating what model your company should be using because, it's really interesting to see, like, there's people that are training these LM models on their laptop, and it's just it seems like day by day it just gets faster and cheaper to train large language models, and
Yeah.
I just see that down the line it's just gonna, and I think even Hugging Face and Microsoft teamed up lately just to basically, you know, spin up your own LLM on Azure or whatever. So
Mhm.
yeah, and we're just going to see this continue, just continue to highly optimize these language models that you can then plug into your code assistant, whether it's Cody or some other one. But you'd want to use Cody, obviously.
Obviously, we're not biased here.
No.
Last last week, the Society of Technical Communications, they actually mentioned a term which I never heard of before, which is small language models, and it goes into this where people are training their own models. They have their own corpus. And speaking of corpus and training your own model, I don't know if this is related. You did mention Anthropic. Can you tell us more about Anthropic, please?
All I can tell you about Anthropic is they are a bunch of people that left OpenAI because they were upset with the direction the company was going. And they basically said everything that they're doing wrong, we're going to do right. So I wish I had more info to give, but yeah, I mean, they're a lot like OpenAI in terms of being an LLM as a service. But yeah, they've been a really great partner for us, and we love working with them.
Thank you. I didn't know about them. I feel like I should have, but I didn't know about them until now, and so I'll definitely take a look. So this is not. Is this related to Elon? Is Elon Musk part of this?
Of Anthropic?
Yeah, because I know that he broke away from OpenAI.
No, he has no involvement with Anthropic. I mean, at least as of this recording, I don't think he's involved, but yeah, no.
Okay, cool.
He might show up with the sync one day.
What did you say, Charles?
I said, yeah, as of today, but you never know. He might show
exactly.
up.
That's why I wanted to be very clear. I mean, who knows? Maybe tomorrow he will be, but yeah, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
Right. Is Cody going to make pair programming obsolete?
No. Just like as I said earlier, just how IDEs and Stack Overflow are used in pair programming. I've done it, everyone uses Stack Overflow while they're or Google or Stack Overflow, whatever you do
Your
first.
tool of choice.
Yeah. They're used in pair programming now.
Pair
and
programming.
That's what pair programming now. And Cody is just a tool, another tool you can add to your chain, so to speak. And also, instead of opening up the browser, now it's built into your IDE. And right now we support VS Code. We also have our web client, but we have VS Code, and we're working on JetBrains Emacs as well as NeoVim. So no ETAs on those, but yeah, that's kind of what's happening.
Is Cody better than pair programming?
No. I don't think they're Cody's an assistant, like it's when you're pair programming, you're working with like a coworker or, a co-maintainer of a project. And yeah, it's Cody is not a person. In yeah, it has like it has a human
reassurance. It's not a person. It is a tool.
I know I sound like a corporate drone, but I'm just being honest, because like if it was the silver bullet, that I could just basically type in the app I want, I would probably just be an entrepreneur and start my own thing, but it's just not that. It's a tool that can help you fix things and help you just the way that just way any other tool can.
You sound like PR. It's hilarious.
I know. And I don't mean to. I don't know. Like I'm because as I said earlier, like that's what I thought at the beginning too. Like, oh, it's over, like this is going to affect a lot of things. And then the more and more I use them, I just said, whoa, I'm just more productive. And like you said, you get 95% of the way there, and then you get that 5%, whether it's from Stack Overflow or a coding assistant, it doesn't matter. Whatever's going to get you that 5%,
Right.
that's cool. But you're not going to be able to go to Cody and be like, hey, I want you to basically create a business that generates this amount of revenue and scales automatically on AWS. Go do your thing. It's just not like that.
Someone tried to do that with ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's like Auto GPT or something.
Yeah.
They weren't using Auto GPT, but I think
Oh.
they gave ChatGPT a budget, and they wanted to figure out if ChatGPT was able to what ChatGPT was able to do if it was either $100 or $1,000. I think at the end of the experiment, it broke even.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's better than a lot of real businesses.
That's true.
True. Especially like the businesses that you find in Silicon Valley, the VC
Mm-hmm.
funded one.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, what you're telling us is we don't need to be worried about Cody taking our jobs.
No. In fact, it's like I just would be prepared to have better job satisfaction. As we said earlier, writing unit tests are going to become a thing of the past. They will be automated. And that means there's better software. That also means software runs more efficiently. Just overall, I think, yeah. And also for those who thinking that docs are going to be automatically written and stuff, as documentation writers know, docs are never done. So now you have time to improve and add things that you didn't have time for. You can add more internationalization and you name it. Different, I think, whether it's LLMs or just onboarding newer contributors that are going to be able to internationalize the documentation. That means more and more people can be included into the open source community. And I think overall that would be a great thing.
That's a really nice spin.
Yeah. And also I have this noted, but it is not a silver bullet. There is no such, if someone says this is this is going to fix everything in your life, they're selling you snake oil. And not all LLMs are not perfect, and they need
Right.
that human touch.
Okay. So perhaps they're not quite there yet, but like in the direction we're going, won't it eventually happen? Or what's your take on at some point in the future, we may get to that point where we maybe not replacing developers completely, but we need less and less as a result of such tools.
I don't, I think this happens with a lot of things is, something new comes and people go, well, there goes the way I work. That's what I do. And I'm going to be replaced. And I don't, I hate predicting the future. Like, it's just like, it's the worst because I'm always wrong. So could it possibly, but I think that just things will evolve. Your job, your role will evolve. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but at the end of the day, it's a tool. It's a tool. It's good. If you think that, let's say this tool gets unbelievably better, that just means you have more work to do. You know, all that work that you were spending, like doing the things that Cody or whatever LLM was helping you with. Now you have more work. Your clients, your bosses, they say, okay, you can do this now. So I just don't think it's gonna replace humans, because without the humans, you don't have the stuff. Like you don't have. All I'll say is there's some really really funny uh, characters on Twitter that basically dunk on AI, artificial intelligence,
Yes.
and basically like show like a really like basic logo and said, okay, I guess I can quit my job now. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, it's like, I think it'll get the bare minimum done, but you'll still need
Oh,
that
those people
human
annoy
to.
me.
I mean, look, I think at the end of the day, it's just humans are going to always have that human touch, and working with AI, there's the cat's out of the bag. It's not going back in. So it's like, live with it and work with it, and yeah.
Okay.
I feel like in this dynamic that you're like in a hot spot, in a hot seat, and it's actually hilarious.
I am. Yeah. I really, I guess, because it's like, yeah, I don't want to sound like a or look like a jerk. I just, I just feel like I was in that same position where I was
Mhm.
like, this is, I'm screwed. And then when I started working with it, I said, oh, wait a minute, this is making my job easier. I can now focus on this. Um, and yeah, I mean, maybe in 5 years that will change, where my job is completely irrelevant and I have to find something else. So, but until then, I think we should be taking advantage of these productivity tools rather
Mhm.
than think about the future and go, well, there goes my life.
Yeah, I think this has like caused an existential crisis for um professional or white collar workers. Because I think a lot of times we've been in a position where we're like, oh, well, we get that degree, or
Hmm.
we learn how to code. And I think this is like the first time we're like, oh, wow, I need to really think about, am I going to be replaced?
Yeah, it's interesting because my cousin was just starting um boot camp, coding boot camp, like
Mhm.
the day after ChatGPT dropped. And I was like, oh man, he just lost all his money. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Like, this is the exact example I was talking about. But by the end of the boot camp, he was so excited because he's like, I have a tool that is going to help me, instead of me being discouraged and beating his head against the wall. He can go, you know what? I have a tool that can help me, and I'm going to use that and take advantage of it. If he's not doing it, then someone else in his class is going to do it, and they're going to
Yeah.
basically, that's competition, and his potential job will be taken. Does it mean that he can't he could just 100% rely on the code assistant? Absolutely not. He still needs to know what to do. He still needs to know Git. He still needs to know all these tools that are needed for. He's a cog in the machine. He's part of the machine, even though he's a human.
How do you feel about all this, Charles?
Um, I'm a little bit reassured, but yeah, we never know what lies ahead. But I really like the point you bring up that the cat's out of the bag. You have
Right.
to use these tools, if you don't, you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage. Um,
Mhm.
so definitely, I'm gonna use these tools as much as possible before they replace us, if they replace us. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna milk the cow while the cow is still there.
I mean, my mom used to do photography, and then, she probably started in the 70s, not as a profession, just like, an artistic outlet or
His
whatever.
serious hobby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And when Photoshop came out, she was just like, I don't think I need that, and she kicks herself because she sees me go into Photoshop and removing something that y- years ago, like we had like a family photo and someone was taking the picture and couldn't get into uh she couldn't get into the photo because they're taking a picture. So we basically did a photo of the person on the end and then I put them in the middle. And she was just like, I should have learned this. So
But you
I
still
mean that
can.
exactly. But she's stuck in her ways. So I
Right.
think what I'm trying to get at is don't become that, well, I already know how to take pictures, so I don't need to learn Photoshop and all that.
I think that's what I'm seeing that in a lot of like technical writers, to be quite honest. You see a lot of, well, I don't need to. Oh, before I talk, hey, Christine, we see you. Thank um, and Christine actually agrees with Justin about the solely relying on AI for coding to be harmful because it often uses ineffective code. Once
Yeah.
again, as Justin has mentioned, it needs the human touch.
Yep.
Yeah, we need the human touch, and they are just tools. But oh, I forgot. So yeah, I just marvel at just how many technical writers are like, um, they just have this automatic negativity towards AI, and it's like your mindset is not going to put AI back into the magical box.
Right.
Like it's going to be out there like regardless. And another thing that gets me,
Mhm.
didn't at one point didn't we all get into tech because it was magical and we
Right.
liked new tools? Where did that go? When did that go away?
That's a great point. I remember my first awe was seeing a Flash website, like animation, and I was like, I don't care what I have to do, I'm going to learn how to do that. And also the another oh my god moment was the view source button when my friend showed me that. He's like, look at this,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Oh my gosh, yeah, the website. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, I got the magic ticket. I
I
got the golden
know.
ticket. I was like up all night, just like removing table, adding table. It's just, and I think
Yes.
that's this whole thing. It's like, before, the view source feature was in, you couldn't do that in other applications. That was a feature of the web. And I think this is the same thing, is it's another way to be like, pull back the curtain more and say, okay, tell me a high level overview of what this code does, because there are no comments. I don't know what the hell's going on. And just, if someone can tell me without me having to go on Stack Overflow and wait for a week and being told that I'm stupid.
Like
I
cobble the code together, like Stack
right.
Overflow code with like your
Yeah.
code.
Yeah, you stupid idiot. You should have just so yeah, I can just basically ask LLM and get the answer. But yeah, it's just another evolution of helping developers get that wow moment.
Christine's talking about her wow moment too.
Let's
Um,
see it.
yeah, her first awe was when she learned that you could use developer tools in Chrome to change headings. Oh my gosh, I know. Or
Yeah.
paragraphs on a website. I just used to turn things from like black to red. because I could do it and I would make it disappear, display none. Oh my gosh. Like,
Yeah.
when did that go away? And that's actually a big concern for me. Like, when did we say to ourselves, no more new things? I am done with tinkering. And that kind of just breaks my heart that we're just like going under the bed, hiding, like crouching in this reactive position in a box and not having this open conversation with tech. So,
Yeah, no, it's Christine's right. I mean, it's just like, yeah, yeah, I get it. Sorry, my throat's dry. I was trying to like play it off cool, but it's not.
oh, that's why you have water. So, like, Charles, you feel more reassured about LLMs and Cody.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. We'll still prepare though. But Justin, going back to Cody,
Mhm.
so as someone who hasn't used Cody before
Yeah.
and they jump in, what kind of a productivity gain can someone expect?
I don't have numbers. GitHub has some numbers, but I mean, it's not like a scientific study or anything. I mean, anecdotally, for me, it's just been a lot easier to figure out what is happening without me having to go to Slack and be like, "Hi, I have a question about this," and I link to the line number, and it's not working. It's not working. And now it's like I don't have to ask because I have all that context in an embedding, and our docs are synced as well. So it's just all these different um, files that can be pulled into an answer, which is to me makes things a lot faster because who really likes to go and bug their coworkers about something that you're having an issue with that
Yeah.
Right.
they're working on way more important stuff, and this is kind of just like a passion project that you're working on. And I think those types of things are going to help those who usually don't put in Git commits to maybe start putting in some Git commits because all those kind of roadblocks and hurdles are being removed because LLM is helping.
Mhm. Yeah, that sounds really good. I especially like your point about, for me at least, it's like asking a coworker or asking on Stack Overflow is always like the last resort,
Hmm.
uh, because it's so tedious to even explain what the issue is and give all the context that I did this, I did that. And of course, on Stack Overflow, um, you'll get your head ripped off if you ask a duplicate question. So there's
Yeah, I stopped asking questions on Stack Overflow like years ago, and I don't know. I just yeah, it's definitely scary. It's you're especially with the reputation that Stack Overflow has, where you have these mods that are just very, which I understand they're trying to keep the quality up, and they don't want duplicates or whatever, but still, I think it turns a lot of people off, and this is kind of this is a new way of getting answers that some are either scared to ask or just aren't able to get the context that others outside of their bubble.
It's so crazy because, like, you go to Stack Overflow and they're like, "Oh, well, we take all questions," and it's like there's just this disconnect between them saying that they're open and to like the real life experience of like asking a question.
Yeah, they have their fingers crossed behind their back when they say that.
Yeah. Another thing that you've mentioned earlier was about open source maintainers. Like,
Mhm.
could you like
I
tell
love them.
us? Yeah. I know you love them. I love them too. I love open source developers too. But how can Cody like help all open source like developers and maintainers?
So as you know, open source maintainers are overloaded, especially, popular projects that when they create the project, there is no check mark saying, "Hey, do you want this to become critical internet infrastructure?"
Right.
It just, yeah,
It's like a
it
side
just
project.
right, right, exactly. The side
Right.
project turns into one of the most important, dependencies in the world. Um,
Right.
but yeah, so for them, every minute counts, especially the ones who have families, and they start the project when they're single, and then they get married, and then they have kids.
Right.
So every kind of second counts. So I think with these types of tools, um, like Cody or Copilot or whatever, they are going to allow them to get through those issues faster, um, and not have to, just having a sidekick that they can focus on, because a lot of maintainers, a lot of people don't know this, they have one or two maintainers per project, like not everything is Vue.js or Bootstrap
Or
or the
React. Yeah.
or React or Linux kernel, but all of those re- depend on depend on projects and libraries, packages, whatever, that they use. So, you have this really unfair balance of, you have a single maintainer with all these issues and all of these pull requests that were either, that were mostly features that the person wants put in, not exactly what the maintainer needs to get the next release out. um yeah, so I think this is just another tool that will make it quicker for them to not burn out, hopefully. But burnout always, I think, will always be an issue regardless, because as I said
Right.
earlier, we're just gonna get more work now that we are moving faster. But hopefully it will eliminate some of that uh, work that's just tedious and boring and not exciting.
And it'll
Right.
be easier to invite new maintainers as well, because that's another problem is it just takes some maintainers, it's just too much work for them to bring on new people.
Yeah, no, exactly. And also it's just, there's a drive-by contributions. It's just what it is. Someone finds a problem, they're like, okay, you know what? This If by fixing this issue, I can now go to my boss or whatever and say, yeah, this is stable enough for us to use in our product.
Right.
So not everyone wants to stick around to be a maintainer, and that's fine. Um, but we still have to make sure that our maintainers are taken care of. And if that means, you know, I said this earlier to someone in our Discord, but basically, I at Max CDN, when I was at a CDN, I gave
Mhm.
$5 million of infrastructure away over the 5 years I was there.
Wow.
I want to 10x that with services that we can give to open source maintainers. So, right now we have a free version of Cody. It has 50 prompts a day, and then it will hit a quota and timeout. But any maintainer that I've been working with, or future ones coming in, they will get as unlimited prompts, so they can make sure that their projects are uh, you know doing well. And to compare that uh to Copilot, it's like $20 a month, um for unlimited prompts or whatever. So there is a value there, and there is a cost on our end. But if it's moving the open source and digital
Ecosystem.
infrastructure, yeah, ecosystem forward, then I, I'm going to I'm going to give them what they need. We
So how
are
would
going
an
to give
open
them what they
source
need.
maintainer? So how would an open source maintainer go about taking advantage of this generosity? Like, do they contact you or?
Yeah, they can contact me on Twitter at jdorfman,
All right, I'll put
JDOR.
that information
Yeah, yeah,
also
yeah.
in the notes.
That
Just
or yeah, we have a Discord. We have a Discord that on the welcome screen it says give me more quota for
and where is this? Is this on Cody or Sourcegraph? Where can
uh
we find this?
yeah, on docs.sourcegraph.com/Cody.
Okay, all right. So we'll have all that information. So if you're an open source maintainer, you want to take advantage of this,
Hit
but you
me
don't have the
up.
funds, yeah, hit Justin up. Um, those are actually all the questions I have. Charles, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I just have a follow-up. You spoke a little bit about it in terms of your product offering as far as pricing goes. Could you
Mhm.
just give us like all the different tiers? So there's the free one with free prompts, and then what are the other levels like if someone wants to jump in?
Yeah, the other ones are just for our enterprise customers. There's really no pricing. It just kind of comes with their package. So um, don't worry about uh, paying for Cody. I'm responsible for giving it away. So just if you need Cody and you need it for your open source project, talk to me. If you use Sourcegraph, if you're a Sourcegraph customer and you want Cody, you can talk to your rep. That has nothing to do with me. I'm all about the open source, baby.
All
Yeah,
right.
open source forever. I'm actually looking for a cute graphic, but I'm moving too slow. So, okay. Oh, well. I was looking for like stars. I can't find stars, so I'm gonna forget about it.
Yeah, no, sounds really good. I think especially with regards to helping um, the few contributors out there to do more for open source projects. As you were talking, I was just thinking about how, as you said, you have these projects that suddenly become a huge dependency on everything.
Yeah.
Uh, if you remember some years ago with the Heartbleed bug,
Hmm.
Hmm.
how
Yep.
like literally the internet broke because of a dependency that everyone had and a lot of people never even heard of. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, the OpenSSL team was underfunded. There's one person full time. The others were volunteers. OpenSSL at that time was running 80% running on 80% of web servers. Honestly, and this might sound bad, but I'm glad that Heartbleed happened because it opened up our eyes to the the pathetic state that the open source funding situation was at. And a lot of people go back to Heartbleed, and now it's Log4j. Good. Let's prevent that from happening again. And tools like Cody are going to help us move faster to find and fix those vulnerabilities. And I look forward to other uh, companies and competitors being able to service more maintainers and help them become as productive as possible so we can have a safe supply chain.
yeah, definitely,
Well
definitely.
said. Well said. It definitely brought some more visibility to the world of open source, the lack of funding, the lack of support, and
Mhm.
it's on more people's minds now than I think before Heartbleed actually happened. So
Absolutely. I mean, what's great that came out of uh, the the latest one, the Log4j, is that
yeah.
governments are starting to require SBOMs, software but bill of materials, for all of their agencies. I'm, I might misquote that a little, but still, things are moving forward in terms of hardening up our software supply chain and making sure that we can avoid these catastrophic, vulnerable issues.
Yeah, and anything that educates, my goodness, the government about open source
Mhm.
infrastructure, it's at least a partial plus.
Yeah, yeah. The Linux Foundation and companies like ChainGuard have really been doing an amazing job in terms of bringing this to light. The OpenSSF and bunch of people, even the Atlantic Council. Just there's a lot of eyeballs on this, and a lot of people that are not just saying things like just to
To appease,
exactly just it's like yeah we'll get on that for sure.
nice
They're
flowery
actually getting
words with like no action behind them.
exactly,
Yeah.
and now action is happening, and that's because these vulnerabilities hit the supply chain, and yeah, I think it's just things are going to get better and better and more productive and more less burnout and happier, healthier open source ecosystem and supply chain.
Wow. On that very, very nice note, we're going to bring things to an end. But before we do that, Christine, you've mentioned that link to repository. Are you talking about? I'm not sure which repository you're talking about. Are you talking about like Cody or? Because I think Cody does Cody actually have a repository on GitHub?
It's in our mono repo. We plan to extract it and make it its own repo, but right now it's in Sourcegraph/Sourcegraph. Um, yeah.
And we'll put that
So
in the notes. But
yeah,
good question.
yeah, great question.
And yeah, so before we officially end things, do you have anything you'd like to promote?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I guess just Cody, just docs.cody.com slash, uh, excuse me, sorry about that.
You okay?
Docs.sourcegraph.com slash Cody. You could join our Discord, and we are always just looking for, uh, actually, we're not looking for new contributors. New contributors are coming in and they're writing amazing recipes, and it's just
Awesome.
it's been really great. It's been very, very awesome just to see the how this has really kind of blossomed into its own thing.
Oh, that's super positive. Are you working on anything else?
Uh no, I don't
No,
know.
really, you're not. Aren't you? My gosh. Okay, now I'm putting myself in the spotlight. Didn't you run like a community of open source developers? Open
Like
source
sustain.
sustain. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
really do it. I just do the podcast now.
really.
I'm hands off with like the day to day. Nothing happened. It's just I did it since 2016. I was just kind of burnt out. But I love doing the podcast when Richard needs me. So yeah, sustainoss.org if
So
anyone's interested in.
sustainoss.org if you're
Mhm,
interested in open source. That speaks to your talent, though. I mean, for you to be able
mhm.
to create a community and then take a step back and it's growing just shows a lot about your vision and the way that you were able to build this.
That was, and I'm glad you said that because it I've done so many side projects in the past that just kind of died and just never went anywhere. But like for this one, I was hoping like I want to go to a sustain event and have nothing to do with it. And the fact that I can do that is like pretty awesome. And it's a great team, really, really dedicated folks out there. Richard Littauer is
Mhm.
like a force not to be reckoned with. He's
Right.
great person, and yeah, just doing really, really, really good stuff. He's a great podcaster, and yeah,
Yeah, no, he's very talented and he's like everywhere.
yeah,
Um, so on that note, everyone, thank you for joining us. for this week's show. As I mentioned last week, we are actually, DocumentWrite is creating a course. It's
Nice.
AI for technical writers who want to learn how to code. So if you're a technical writer and you want to learn how to code, you want to learn how to write scripts and websites, we are creating a course. So if you can sign up for it, every week we give a lot of information on how you can start it on AI tools, how you can start it in code. So even if you don't sign up for the course, the newsletter will have a whole lot of hints to get you started.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's fun. It's basically what I do in my free time anyway. I probably shouldn't admit that like on camera, but yeah, it's basically what I do in my free time. Like I love coding. But I love coding and I love what it brings to the field of technical writing. It feels like I have a magical power.
Wait, before we sign off, didn't you write a WordPress plugin?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yes, Charles, I told other people about this too.
Before we sign off, I want to hear about it. I saw
It's
it,
not,
but I didn't.
it's only exciting to me. But
I'm
I'll
excited.
make you excited. So I can't tell you how frustrating it is to start a new project and then get into dependency hell, to not be able to get the environment up and running. So this was the first time that I was able from end to end get WordPress up and running and create a plugin. And I did it all with ChatGPT and MAMP. So AI takes a starring role, but I would have to say like the tooling for developers now, they're so much better than like 7 or 8 years ago. With MAMP, it set it all up for me. Like I remember I had to do that myself. And so it's gotten to the point with tools such as Cody, tools such as ChatGPT, that I'm able to say, hey, I'm going to spend a weekend creating this plugin, creating this site, and I actually do it. And like for me, it's really
Right.
opened up a whole new world.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing is, and it just kind of proves my point from earlier. It gets that spark going, like it creates that skeleton, and you go, okay, I think I got this, and then you can go, and you're going to run into issues, and you can say, why is this happening? Oh, okay, good. So you could take an idea, and you can actually have a solution without going, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. Just
That's how so
close.
many side projects end.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's why I worked on, and I mean, that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I don't know about like the other creators out there, but a little part of my heart just, I don't know, just withers away and dies when I would look at my GitHub repo and look at all those unfinished projects. And if I can just have a little less death, then I think that's definitely a win.
I love it. I think we end on that. That's a great final thought.
Thank you. So
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
All right.